Alkaline corrosion, the bane of board repairmen everywhere. A view of U41 once I removed it, and you can clearly see that this one is too corroded to remain on the board. Parts removed, alkaline corrosion all cleaned up and conformal coated, ready for repopulation. And I forgot to mention in the video that I had to scrape the reset section as there was a little corrosion there also. A Road Kings System 11 nothing MPU, and I just replaced one of the ROM labels. That one had a piece of black electrical tape, as we so often see. And this board came from the client who indicated that lightning had struck their power system in their house and the board no longer booted. Well, I tried it on my bench and it did boot, in fact, but there were some other problems with the board. So I'm wondering if he simply has a power supply fuse problem or if the power supply is shot craps. So what I did on this board is, first of all, I took off the No Quarters Arcade lithium cell battery overlay. That'll go right here. And the reason I took that off was because when I examined the board, you can see there's some alkaline corrosion that I have abated properly by removing the components and sanding down to bare traces everywhere where it existed. The 74154 was hit up here, so I had to remove it. And this, I think it's an LS00, I have my glasses on, but this chip had been hit too, so I had to remove it, put a new socket in, clean it all up, and it's good to go in this area right now. Remarkably, no jumpers required. Total of 6 or 7 caps, 1, 2, 3, over to the sound section, 4, 5, 6, and there's one under the ribbon hiding there, will be number 7. Those aren't strictly speaking necessary, but while the board's here, I like to do that. What is necessary is this power connector at 1J17. So I did that. Here's the total sort of bill of materials for this one. I have it connected to a high-speed background sound board and one of my test displays that Victor made for me and some other people. And we can test the music. Now this won't be Road Kings music, it'll be high-speed background sounds. Well, what that proves is that the CPU board is commanding the correct sounds to the background sound board. All right, let's advance to display test, if I can press the button correctly. Here we go. And at first I thought I had a problem with some of those traces, because most of those traces that go vertically from U41, U42 up to the top are display. In fact, all of them are display and sound traces, but the actual problem was with my ribbon cable. I put it on and take it off so much that eventually it begins to fail. So I just clamp a new one on there. So the displays are good. All those sounds were coming from the MPU board sound section in the upper left-hand corner of the board. We're in all lamp test now. Looking good. I'm going to skip single lamps and go right to coil test. During the era of Williams production, they for Road Kings, they didn't have to multiplex many, if any, coils, or they hadn't at least achieved a standard in how they would do that. But you can see all those are working. This is the flipper ground enable, and here I can drive the special solenoids from my switches, again from Victor. That little test dingy. Let's go to switch edges, little test dongle, and I'm just going to go down the diagonals of the switch matrix. So switch 1, 10, 28, 37, 46, and 54 is the last switch that's used on Road Kings. Let me see. 54, yeah. And that is it. I'm going to reinstall the No Corners Arcade coin cell battery backup for the client. I also socketed the RAM, so if the client would like to install an NV RAM, all he needs to do is pick up a 6116 NV RAM, and it must be a 6116 because this vintage board could not accept a 6264. But all you got to do is replace this chip, simple replacement, and we're good to go. Otherwise, I'd set this on free play, but it's not going to do any good because there's no battery backup. Thank you so much for sending it, and we'll see if it powers up in your lightning struck house.